Now, let's go with the classical music. I'm a classical musician. I'm an organist. Whenever I give a concert, I have to play music by Bach. I mean, you can't play an organ concert without Bach, right? And I played south of Tokyo in a room about this size, and the place was packed. Every seat taken, people standing all along the back and out in the lobby. It wasn't because of me. They didn't know who I was. It wasn't because of the organ. It was an old electronic organ that didn't work very well, with sticky keys and stuff. It was because it was an all Bach concert. Bach is what attracted them. There's something about Bach that attracts the Japanese. Some have even said that Bach is the most successful missionary ever in Japan, which is a very strange thing to say when you consider that he lived hundreds of years ago, halfway across the world, never went to Japan, and he wears a funny white wig. What is it about Bach that Japanese just love so much? It's not an easy question to answer, but I'm going to try to do it by giving some comparisons. Mozart, very famous, well-loved. People love Mozart. I love Mozart. And it's fun, even playful. But that's not all Mozart is. My 10-year-old is trying to learn some Mozart, and it's very difficult because there's scales running. It's a little bit showy. Mozart is he was a genius, and it shows in the music he wrote. So, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there's scales everywhere. It's not easy music to play. Think about Beethoven. He is in your face. He wants you to know, I am Beethoven. Right? There's nothing subtle about that. And then he only gets soft again so that he can get loud again. Beethoven. So different than Bach. Bach is quietly beautiful. When you listen to a melody of Bach, he doesn't ask you to be impressed. He just asks you to sit back and listen. That's the melody. That's how it starts. And those of you who know this piece know what comes next. It's the same melody, but in the left hand now. And then same thing, but a little bit lower. Now we're adding a third layer. Very same melody, but 3 layers of it. And then in the feet, finally the 4th layer. And I could go on, but I better stop there. So what you have one melody, and then you add another melody. So now you've added a little depth to it. Then you added the same melody again, a 3rd layer of it. Now you've added some harmony. You've added some rhythm. And then you add the 4th. And so we have this incredible simplistic music with incredible complexity. Now here, I want to ask you now to start looking at Japanese art. I'll take my sons to a rock garden, a Japanese rock garden, and say, look kids, a Japanese rock garden. And they look around, mightily unimpressed. It's just a bunch of rocks. This is boring. Meanwhile, my 4-year-old over here in the corner is picking one up and is about to throw it. I have to, no, please don't do that. Because every rock is exactly placed where it's supposed to be. It suggests whole landscapes of islands and mountains and forests and oceans and really the universe, just in a few rocks. You think about their Sumier paintings, which is squid ink, one kind of color, just black. That's it. Not tones of black, just black. And yet the way they use it, you can suggest whole landscapes that actually aren't even painted, but you imagine them in your mind. You think of haiku poems, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. So short that in English it would be really difficult to say anything meaningful at all. And yet in Japanese, you can write pages about what is suggested just by those very few symbols. And you can go with bonsai trees and calligraphy and the Japanese tea ceremony, the list goes on. Incredible simplicity with incredible complexity. Now, Bach draws us back to the gospel. At the end of every work he wrote Soli Deo Gloria, glory to God alone, which is part of the beginning of the Protestant Reformation. There were 5 phrases. Another was Solus Christus, only Christ. Sola gratia, only grace. All you need is Christ. All you need is grace. Incredibly simple. And yet, it takes a lifetime to live out the complexity. And so the beauty we find in the gospel is exactly the beauty that the Japanese love so much in their own culture. And so we found a connection point. Perhaps that's one reason why Bach is so popular there. And it gives us this way to talk about the gospel in a way they can understand. Yeah, I can see that. So it doesn't look foreign to them. I would like to play for you a piece by Bach. It's 2 hours long. Okay, I'll just play the beginning. Bach wrote this piece in order to put the essentials of the Christian faith into music. He said, if you want to know what Christianity is about, here it all is. Everything that's important for you to know is all in this 2-hour work. It was one of the very few works he actually went through the trouble of publishing in his lifetime. So he said, it's simple, but there's complexity there. But he always comes back to simplicity. It starts with this prelude. It's about an 8-minute work. I'm going to play for you now. And the rhythm is bum, ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. He's driving home the truth. You can trust God. You don't need to worry. No matter what your worries are, what your anxieties are, God is in control, and he has your best interests in mind. Just trust him. Just love him. And the whole 2-hour work sits on that foundation that he is in control and you don't need to worry. This is a prelude in E flat by Johann Sebastian Bach.